And as we told you tonight, we introduce a special segment, Events 2015. And we begin with a one-on-one interview with Deputy President William Ruto. We begin with questions on the economy as he first outlines government achievements before we ask key questions on corruption, including the Eurobond saga, 2017 politics, and more. We'll leave you with that. Thank you, Deputy President, for making time for us again. 2015 is now ending. Government has done a lot. Some of the things you're going to talk about later on in this interview, or during the interview. But concerns have been raised, and we've been seeing pollsters all through the year until the latest in early December, still saying Kenyans have a problem with the cost of living. That is their biggest concern.
Let me tell you that a lot has happened. There is a huge lot of activity happening on the ground. There is a tremendous transformation going on around Kenya. And I am not saying this as a person who sits in Nairobi. I am amongst the most traveled leaders in Kenya. Virtually, my Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, and sometimes Mondays are out of Nairobi. And I interact with millions of Kenyans. And the kind of things that we are doing, there is confirmation on the ground that indeed it's happening. Let me give you examples. We, as an administration, we said we want to change. We want to give a new impetus to matters of education. Right from curriculum review, which is currently going on with the support of development partners. We have enhanced capitation in our primary and secondary schools. That capitation has gone up by an average of 35% this year. We have about 47 billion shillings that we are spending, up from about 30 on free primary and secondary education. This year, if you ask any parent in Kenya whose child is in public school, they did not pay examination fee because the government of Kenya paid. This is a fee that used to discriminate against students or pupils from disadvantaged backgrounds. Today, every pupil, every student in Standard 8 and Form 4 does their examination without being asked for fees. We have a very soft end of our education. Children, girls from disadvantaged, vulnerable groups, pastoral areas. Many of them miss school so many times or so many days in a year because of lack of sanitary pads. We as a government identified that as an area that contributes to absenteeism and eventually poor performance by girls. We have enhanced the resources for purchase of sanitary pads for this category of our children from 200 million to 400 million. We used to cover 675,000 girls. Now we cover 1.2 million. In 2013, we used to allocate 2 billion shillings for higher education loans board. Today, this year, we have allocated 7 billion, almost 400% increment. We have increased the number of students benefiting from higher education loans board from 120,000, today 170,000 university students, college students are benefiting from higher education loans board. Again, we are making sure that as much as possible we are pushing for universality of access to education.
So where do you think the disconnect is then? Where do you think that is? Why are people not feeling it? Why are people saying they're not feeling it?
I think the naysayers, the people who profile the country negatively, are having a field day. They want. These are things you cannot take away. We are building 60 technical training institutes last year. They are real, they are on the ground. I have been there myself to officiate some of them. We are spending another 3.5 billion this year to build another 70 technical training colleges in Kenya. Our focus in the next 2 to 3 years every constituency will have a technical training college. Again, because we want to improve the quality of the graduates. We want to make sure that we have enough men, because our skills audit as a country showed that we have gaps in technicians, artisans, technologists. These are the areas we are addressing ourselves if we have to meet Vision 2030. We came into power to transform Kenya.
Why are they not feeling
that transformation, my friend, is going on? As I talk to you now here, in the last 1 year, the cost of electricity has come down by 30%. I challenge you to go to Portland Cement or Bamburi Cement or some of the big manufacturers. Ask them, has the cost of power come down in the last year? The answer will be yes. And with the coming down of the cost of energy, courtesy of the initiatives we have put in place, because we are not only generating additional power. This year, we have added onto the grid 615 megawatts. Our program is to add 5,000. We are well on course on that in that endeavor. The other question I want you to ask the Kenyan public. Today, we have connected an additional 2 million customers on the grid. In 2013, we had 2.2 customers in Kenya Power and Lighting. Today, there are 4.1 million. There are many Kenyans out there today connected to electricity, courtesy of this administration, that were not. And we are not talking about a few people. We are almost talking about double the number. Today, as I talk to you, the cost of connection has come down from 70,000 to 35,000. And I want every Kenyan who is, whose home is near a transformer, from January, they will be able to connect to the grid, not with 35,000, but with 15,000. Any Kenyan who is around a transformer, you know. Again, we are creating access. Today, as I talk to you, when we took over in 2013, 8,200 primary schools were connected to electricity. Today, 21,165 are connected to electricity. An additional 13,000 primary schools have been connected to electricity in the last 3 years. That is evidence on the ground. And I want to promise you and promise the country that the remaining 890 primary schools that are not connected today, before the opening of term next in January, every primary school in Kenya will be connected to electricity. Again, that is real. It is on the ground.
They're asking for the average Kenyan is, at the end of the day, at the end of the month or week, their power bill, as promised, did not go down. The cost of consumption is still quite high, isn't it?
I want to, maybe what you should do, Hussein, is go check your power bill in the last 1 year, what has happened, right? Because we are not talking about things that are in space. We are challenging you with facts here. I have told you, go to any industry, ask them whether their power bill has gone up or has gone down. The ones who will be honest with you, and they have come to the round tables we have with KEPSA. Go and ask KEPSA, for example, Kenya Association of Manufacturers or Kenya Private Sector Alliance. They will tell you the reality of what is going on in Kenya.
Latest number by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics show the economy grew at a slower rate of 5.5% between April and June this year. That is lower than 5.9% during the similar period last year. Taxman, we know he missed his revenues by 28 billion.
You see, when you look at the economy, look at the Kenya economy and juxtapose it with the world economy. The predictions by the World Bank, the IMF, and the financial institutions, we predicted a 6.5 growth. the African growth was supposed to grow at 5.5. That has since been reviewed to 3.7. The economy in Africa, the growth of the economy in Africa, because of many factors, you know, commodities, the prices of commodities, weather issues, a whole mix of things. If you compare the scaling down of the growth of the economy in Africa to 3.7, Kenya's economy is still at 5.5, way above the growth of the economy in Africa, way above the growth of the economy in the world.
But below what we were in.
Below where we anticipated. And every country's economy has slowed down because of factors beyond what Kenya is doing. What we should be asking Hussein, is, are we implementing our projects? Is the standard gauge railway on course? I will tell you, the standard gauge railway is not just on course, it's ahead of time. It's not only 60% complete as we are talking, it is ahead of schedule in terms of delivery. You should be asking me, what about the roads? I will tell you that in 2013, when we took over, we had a bill of 120 billion on the road sector, which we have paid. Today, we are signing contracts for an additional 3,000 kilometers of roads to be launched in January. You heard the president announce the other day. Right. That tells you that something is happening in Kenya. You know, something different is happening in Kenya.
Okay.
And let me also tell you, Fortune magazine, which is not published by the Kenya government, right, puts Kenya as the destination, the only destination in Africa worth investing in. That is Fortune magazine, you can go and check. The World Bank Ease of Doing Business report says Kenya was the third most improved country in the ease of doing business. That is a World Bank report, not published by the Kenya government or by any sector of the Kenyan society. Those are institutions beyond Kenya who are demonstrating confidence in Kenya. When we went for the Eurobond last year, we got an award for getting the best rate. And the best rate is a factor of confidence in the Kenyan economy.
Right.
We got an average rate of about 6.2. Other countries have got a rate of 10. Others have got a rate of 11. We got a rate of about 6.2, an average rate for about 6.2, demonstrating the confidence of the world in the management of the Kenyan economy.
Economic analysts mostly have been saying the Jubilee administration has been really, concentrating on mega projects, and thus we have financial constraints in the country. There's no balance, so people will not really feel the immediate effects of these things, which people also need to feel.
Let me tell you, Hussein, we focus, for example, in managing the security of the country. It's a huge concern for Kenyans, their security. What has happened, for example, in the security sector? You know, there was a situation about 2 years ago or a year and a half ago where the people thought the whole security of Kenya had run amok. But as a government, you know, we have taken steps. We now have 2,700 police vehicles roaming the country. We spent 6 billion shillings. We have spent huge resources in equipping the police. We have 15 billion shillings we have deployed to buy new guns, to buy new armored vehicles, to buy body armor for the police. We have 10,000 more security personnel now trained. We are employing another 10,000 next year. We for the very first time, Hussein, every policeman has a life insurance. Like it has never happened before. You know, there is more confidence in our policemen and women to take charge of the security of the country. And what has happened is with the life insurance, today if a policeman is killed on duty, their family will get 8 years of salary. If they die of natural causes, they get 5 years of salary. If they are injured, they are paid. It used never to happen.
Okay.
So we are not only dealing with the hardware, we are also dealing with the software. The other day, we passed what was called security laws. Many people, especially our competitors in the opposition, oh, we are trying to return the country to the dark days. Oh, I don't know, we are trying to make this country a military state. But today, courtesy of the security laws, courtesy of the multi-agency nature provided by that legislative framework, today we can better manage the security of Kenya. In the last 8 to 9 months, we have had very depressed activity of criminals.
I want to move.
We are doing more for the country. And my friend, Kenyans are feeling, I was in Mandera. The people in Mandera feel much more secure today than they ever did. I have been to many parts of Kenya. People appreciate the initiatives that we are running. What is the alternative?
Okay, I want to move on to another topic. Yes. Before that, though, you believe in, pollsters and how they do their polls and getting the Mwananchi feel on the ground. Very briefly now, where is the disconnect? Where do you think the disconnect is then?
The pollsters said we were going to lose the last election. We won. Right? I don't have an argument with the pollsters. They do their thing. Okay. We do ours.
Yeah.
Right?
If they say,
and we are not going to run Kenya on the basis of what the pollsters say. We are running Kenya on the basis of a manifesto that we agreed with the people of Kenya,
and how do you
and on the basis of which they elected us. We are keeping our eyes on the ball to make sure that the basis upon which we were elected, making sure that we transform Kenya, we're doing it. Even if you look, for example, on the health sector, my friend, on 1st June 2013, the president announced that because of the problem we had, 6,000 mothers dying every year at childbirth, we rolled in free maternal health services. Today, 1.1 million mothers give birth in hygienic conditions in hospital, up from 660. Meaning, we have close to 450,000 mothers today going to hospital for maternal health care and going home with their children.
Right.
We have a whole new scheme for making sure that we have referral facilities in every hospital. We are spending 38 billion shillings to make sure that instead of coming to Kenyatta Hospital or going to Eldoret Referral Hospital, there is a referral facility in every county in Kenya. We are equipping 94 hospitals. What has happened in NHIF? In 2013, when we took over, there were 3.6 million contributors. Today, there are 5.8 million contributors. Okay. We have not only enhanced the contribution from about 13 billion a year, it's going to 22 billion end of this year. You need to ask yourself, when the pollster goes to ask, what are they asking? Are they asking whether they have seen electricity in their primary school? Are they asking whether they have seen the standard gauge railway being built? Are they asking whether they can see, whether they have an idea of what is happening with NHIF? Are they asking whether they can see evidence of the standard gauge railway and all the other infrastructural projects that we are rolling in place? I don't think they ask those questions.
So I think how do you gauge what you're doing then?
I think they are asking questions which are relevant to whoever is paying them to do what they are doing. And I have no fault with what they are doing. That's why you have never heard us complain about the polls. I think they are doing their job and we should allow them. This is a free democratic society. They will do their polls, ask the questions they ask. We will implement our agenda and our manifesto the best way we know. Kenyans will judge this administration come 2017.
Let us move to another problem that has been there during the year, which is corruption. You've mentioned the Eurobond. I'll just start with the latest. Concerns have been raised about 140 billion shillings. The government has talked about the Eurobond, but up to now, the question that has been asked is, where did this money go?
Hussein, we have explained to any reasonable person who wanted to know what happened to the Eurobond in clear terms. Let me give it one more shot. We went to Parliament with a budget. Every year, it is not the Jubilee administration, including the Grand Coalition and every other government, have always had a funding gap of a certain amount. That funding gap is always money that the government goes to borrow from the market. And the government has two options, either to borrow locally or to borrow internationally. In the past, the government could not borrow internationally because of confidence levels in our economy. In 2014, we did, for the very first time in the history of Kenya, we went to borrow internationally, in the international market, instead of borrowing locally. And the reasons why we said we want to externalize our borrowing were very legitimate and genuine. They still are genuine and legitimate. We wanted to create space for the private sector locally to borrow from local banks, because as government, we could borrow internationally. And by the way, we made a huge success out of that borrowing. We got good rates, we got all the money we wanted, good rates for Kenya. And we chose to borrow internationally because of the reasons I have listed. We wanted to create space here. That is why the interest rates are not in the region of 25-30. That's why the interest rates are in the region of 17-15.
Although at some point we were last month.
I'll come there. Right? So, and we made a huge success out of that borrowing. We could have borrowed that money locally, right? As every other government has done. But once you borrow the money, once it gets into Kenya, it goes to fund the budget. You know, an impression is being created, which is a very unfortunate, impression that, we went to borrow money from outside and we need to tell the country what have we done with it. By the way, before we went to borrow the money, we had already told the country what we were going to do with it before we went to borrow. Because you cannot go and borrow money without the approval of Parliament. The budget upon which we went to borrow the 200 billion was already approved by Parliament.
What was it supposed to do then?
In fact, when people ask this question, what did you do with the money that you borrowed? They look very naive. They look like they don't live in Kenya, because some of them are leaders, who are supposed to know how things are done. Because instead of asking even me, I would ask even our competitors in the opposition to go and ask their members of Parliament, because their members of Parliament sat in Parliament and approved all the projects we said we were going to fund, the whole budget. We have 150 members of the opposition, right, who should be telling their leader what the money was used for, because it is in the budget. There is, my friend, you cannot spend 1 shilling or 1 cent in Kenya as a government if it is not approved by Parliament.
Fine.
So it is actually a very
all the naivety then
useless question, okay, and it's actually a dishonest, if I may put it.
With all the naivety,
very dishonest question.
Okay, with all the naivety and dishonest as it may be, and you're within your rights to say that, people are still asking it. Here we have the finance minister saying money was disbursed in several ministries.
Correct.
The question he was asked, what did this money do, or what projects specifically it went to fund? Because again, the key selling point was infrastructure. The government has failed to say what it was supposed to do with the money.
Let me tell you. All you need to do to know where this money was spent is go look at the budget. Let me give you examples. Ministry of Energy. We have put 72 billion in the Ministry of Energy. Ketraco, there is a specific amount that we put in Ketraco to expand energy distribution. We have put 21 billion shillings in RARE to expand this whole program I have told you about, connecting primary schools.
Of Eurobond money.
Forget about of Kenya government money. Eurobond combined with money that we raised locally and money that we raised through taxes. Once that money comes in, it becomes part of the money that Kenya government has available for use in executing the budget that was approved by Parliament.
Right.
So we have 20 billion shillings, 21 billion to be specific, going to RARE. We have 18 billion shillings going to Ketraco. We have GDC and Kengen, which are generating this additional energy. We have 15 billion shillings that went to equipping the police, as I have said, buying new buying guns, buying new police equipment. We have 1.8 billion shillings that went to police insurance. We have 4 billion shillings that went to leasing equipment. We have 4.2 billion shillings that went to this whole health matter of free maternal health care, and on and on. And all these things are not things William Ruto has created. All these things are in the budget. They are there. So what you should be asking these people who are asking us, where did you put the Eurobond money, is please be honest.
So why has it been, I mean, you said it right, why has it been hard then? I mean, Kenyan still, I mean, if a Kenyan asks a question, where did this money go? Why has it been so hard to say it has been used in ABCD? Why has the finance minister taken months? In fact, you're the one who's saying it now, that there's $4 billion that has gone to this billion amount has gone to this.
But you see, it is the expectation of any reasonable person. And the least you will expect is somebody who has held high office in Kenya to ask dishonest questions about things that he knows the answers, and the answers are straightforward. And that is why when you tell him, okay, we have the information here, he says, oh, you are too small, I can't come and get the information from you, you are junior. You know, I am big, you are small. Okay, why don't you go to the other place? Or, you know, the fellow who brought me the summons is a junior person. You know, so we are not having the right conversation. The right conversation is, did any money get lost? No. And that's a very straight no. Ask anybody. Ask the World Bank, ask the IMF, ask the ADB, and all these institutions participated in borrowing money this way or that way, or funding these projects.
Odinga did not show up at Rotich's office when he said he wanted to...
He said Rotich was a junior person.
Right. But Rotich did not give information. As much as you say it's a dishonest question, or it is a useless question because it's in the budget, why was it so hard for Rotich to just say this money has gone to ABCD?
It is not hard. Rotich has explained. You know, beyond Rotich. No, let me tell you. Beyond Rotich disbursing money to ministries, you know, beyond there, it is up to the ministries to implement the program which we as government took to Parliament. So, and that program is very elaborate, and that program is not hidden. That program is not a secret. That program is open for the people of Kenya. Free maternal health care, the money is there, 4 billion. Equipment for our policemen and women, insurance for our policemen and women, the whole energy transformation exercise, the whole education program. Every detail is available for the people of Kenya to interrogate.
Right.
And for your information, the Constitution provides for institutions, Comptroller of Budget, Auditor General, to make sure that ultimately what was pledged in the budget was executed by the government and the books balanced.
But sometimes there's corruption.
As we talk now, if you get the comptroller to this interview, he will tell you he can account for every shilling of the Eurobond.
Okay.
Mr. Odinga knows very well that no money was lost. He knows very well that every shilling spent by the government of Kenya has to be approved by Parliament. And I want to challenge him even today please stop playing small-time politics. Name whoever you want to name, you know, because he is being dishonest. And let me tell you, when I made this statement, it is now confirmed. When he was given the opportunity to go to EACC, he said at one point the fellow there was a junior person who went to serve him in the notice. And then at another point he said, oh, the commission is not properly constituted.
He said he did not engage in a cover-up process because he doesn't believe the EACC will do the right thing.
Why doesn't he use whatever other means? Why doesn't he go to FBI? Because if he believes in FBI, why doesn't he go to some other who to tell them that this is what has happened? Because he knows he has no truth in what he's saying. And it is now confirmed, Hussein, that this discussion is a discussion by people who are reckless, pedestrian liars. And I said it. At best, at worst, they are dangerous economic saboteurs. I want them to challenge me on the basis of facts if what I'm saying is not true.
EACC is currently investigating the matter. The DPP said the matter should be investigated. Why do you think they should do that if nothing was lost?
We are very happy. No, because so that we give opportunity. You know, we want to give opportunity to those who believe that this money was misused to step forward and say, yes, this money was used in this or that manner. But you have seen, instead of them coming to give all this information, they are telling the media, oh, I know who has the money for Eurobond. I know why it was used. Why are they not going to EACC if they are honest?
Okay, well then the opposite also be said, that why would the government then say nothing has been lost when an active investigation is going on? It will be like preempting it, isn't it?
But Rotich has gone to EACC. Thuge has gone to EACC. All the public officials have gone to EACC. They have recorded statements. And in their statements, they have said no money is lost. The only way you can say the contrary is to go to EACC and tell the EACC, no, I know this money was lost, I have this evidence, I have this evidence, but where are they doing it? They are not doing it at EACC, they are doing it in rallies.
We've always been talking about the importance of whistleblowing and passing information to Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, all other agencies that are fighting graft. On Jamhuri Day, you and the President made it clear that there's also need for burden of proof. In fact, transferring burden of proof as well to a whistleblower, in this case, Odinga. And the issue about arresting him, was that the right way to do it? Plus, what does it say for anybody who has information, who wants to give information about graft?
What do you do with reckless people who know very well that I am going to make this statement to damage the economy of Kenya? The law is even. The Constitution itself, in fact, the President quoted the Constitution, which says those who make allegations must be minded about the veracity of what they are saying. That's what the Constitution says. And if you have a quarrel with what the Constitution says, then let's amend it. But as it is now, it is the President's responsibility, it is my responsibility, it is the responsibility of government to implement the Constitution as it is written. And it puts burden on everybody to make sure that you don't accuse people unfairly, maliciously, because you want to tarnish other people's names, but you are protected if you are in it for a good cause. And for your information, apart from passing legislation and enhancing legislation on whistleblowing, we have done a huge amount of work to facilitate all these investigative authorities.
So you don't think this will dampen the war against corruption? Because if you're talking about allegations, it's on the basis of allegations that we have cases that went to the EACC and cabinet secretary is forced to step aside.
Many allegations have been made. The Honorable Odinga was given an opportunity to provide that information. It wasn't that he was forced, but the law also provides the EACC. You know, the law as it is provides for the EACC, if you make certain allegations, they give you the first chance, come and give us the information. If you refuse with the information, the law also mandates them to summon you. That is what the law says, my friend. It is not that we have manufactured the law. So, and where are we in this whole fight against corruption? There is no other government that has done what the Jubilee administration have done on matters to do with fighting corruption.
And
let me give you when we took over in 2013, The budget for EACC was 1.4 billion. Today, it is 2.6 billion. We have added an additional 198, almost 200 members of staff to the EACC. We have funded. Today, they have an additional 80 investigators. And that is why you have about 330-something cases going on. That is why today we have frozen, recovered, or traced about 2.7 billion of public money that was robbed from the public. That is why, even as I talk to you today, even the latest corruption case of NYS, of the 700 and something 91 million, we have already traced about 580, either in property that was bought or in cash that was held in banks, and all that is now frozen because we have a much more effective EACC. We have created, because of the initiative by the President, we have created a multi-agency around EACC, the Director of Public Prosecution, KRA, Asset Recovery Agency, Financial Monitoring Center. We've created a huge to keep track of movement of money, movement of assets, making sure that we are on top of this corruption menace.
Right.
And we have done our part as government. Public officials serving in our government, for the first time, we asked everybody, without any proof of the allegations that was made by those making those allegations, we asked them to step aside. For the first time.
Right. On the other side, it maybe looked like as this as well. I mean, what you're saying, fair enough in terms of equipping all these agencies that are supposed to fight corruption. But corruption has been going on. In fact, we have had a reorganization of the cabinet, the government, because of corruption. And in fact, I also want to know how you feel or how you felt when even the Pope, who came to Kenya, spoke about corruption. And specifically also talked about land grabbing, which is very right in this country.
Let me tell you, it is the right code. It is the right code that Kenya must be, that must be struck in Kenya. Because corruption is not about 1 or 2 or 3 people. Corruption is a societal problem. And the fight against corruption must not just be about the constitutional bodies that are there. It must be about every Kenyan. Every Kenyan must ask themselves, what is it that I am doing to aid in the fight against corruption? Because the public officials that are being corrupted by members of the public. You know, that is what is going on around here. So that is those are the issues that we have to deal with as a Kenyan society. And as government, we are playing our part. We are taking the necessary steps. When our officials are engaged in corruption, we exit them. When allegations are being made about our officials, we've done the right thing. We've asked them.
And I'd like to ask that question. What should be the right thing when an allegation is made against somebody? What should be the right thing for that person who's been alleged to do something to do? Do you step aside? Do you resign? Or do you say you're innocent until proven guilty? What should be the right thing?
The law says everybody is innocent until proven guilty. When allegations are made against an individual, those allegations must be proven. Because, Hussein, it is also possible for somebody to make allegations that are untrue. And you shouldn't suffer the fate of being branded corrupt merely because some malicious person made allegations against you. We have to protect this both ways. And I mean the fight against corruption must be moral and must not hurt people unnecessarily.
Having said that, then, we had cabinet secretaries suspended. They were not proven it. The case, if it is about innocence until proven guilty, they were suspended on basis of allegations, and cases are going on up to now. Some have even been cleared, but they were not reinstated or returned to cabinet. That is clearly destroying their name, isn't it? Is that being fair to them?
You have said it. I don't think we are being fair to them. But we have a duty as government, because these allegations are going on. Some cases are still going on. We have a government to run. We need men and women to run ministries. To stay without a minister for a year, 8 months to a year, is very punitive, for a ministry, because you need to sign things, you need to make sure that there is strategic leadership in ministries, but also it is the prerogative of the appointing authority, whether you have been cleared or not, to make a decision whether you still will serve in government or not. But that is not to pass judgment that you're guilty, or that is not to pass judgment that you're corrupt. I think what we did is the institutions that are responsible for clearing people of cases or of allegations exist, and they will do their job.
Some have been cleared.
Some of them have been cleared. That means they can go on with their lives. They are not corrupt. They have been proven not to be corrupt. The only thing they don't have is the job they had. And but that is not to say that by us not reappointing them, or by us appointing somebody else, does not mean we are saying these people are corrupt. It is not for the president or myself to prove anybody guilty or otherwise, corrupt or otherwise. It is for institutions of governance, and they will continue doing their jobs. But it is our prerogative to appoint people into office and to determine who we want to work with or who we don't want to work with.
But you say sometimes it's unfair. And you say it's unfair for somebody to be, an allegation to be made and somebody to step aside. It is unfair until something is proven. That's what you're saying.
It is unfair. I mean, morally.
What the government did was wrong.
We didn't do anything. We didn't do anything wrong. We didn't do anything wrong. What we did is what we are mandated to do. It is our prerogative to hire the people we want to work with.
What about suspending them?
It is also provided in our regulations that we can suspend anybody. And we can even sack. Even when you are a clean man or a good man, we can still sack you. And that is within our...
So if you feel it's unfair, why did you have to suspend them then?
You see, we have many issues that we have to balance. We have a government to run. We have an agenda to execute. If we feel that by virtue of where you stand, you're not giving us traction, I mean, we remain friends. We are not saying you're guilty. We are not passing judgment, because there are institutions that are constitutional that will determine the guilt or otherwise of everybody. But it is our responsibility to decide who we work with in government, who we don't work with. And it is not, we will not fire anybody merely because they are corrupt. Sometimes we will fire somebody because we don't think they are doing the right thing, or we don't think they are executing our mandate the way we want.
What I'm trying to get here is a structure, a way of doing things. You're saying it very well. It's unfair to do this, but it was done anyway. What should happen if an allegation is made against somebody holding public office?
The way of doing things, Hussein, is we must follow the Constitution. We must follow the law. If allegations are made against an individual, those allegations are proven or disapproved by evidence collected by institutions that are charged with matters of governance. For us as government, we decide who we want to work with. At any one time, we can dismiss anybody, or we can hire somebody else. We can expand our cabinet whenever, because we are within the Constitution.
It has been said, one of the reasons why people were waiting for a cabinet reshuffle for a long time is that you were not in agreement with the president.
It was said by who?
It has been said, and I'm sure you've heard it, because you're a man who reads a lot on social media and a lot of feedback from Kenyans. But it has been said, and I'm sure you've heard it, that you were not comfortable that some of these ministers that were cleared were not going to be reinstated back to the cabinet. And today you're actually saying it was unfair.
My friend, I have told you, let us not engage in rumors, because we would not be different from those we are accusing of engaging in rumors. The president and I have run this government as one government. There is no me versus the president. There is no the president versus deputy president. We are decided and made up that this government is going to be one. We don't have members of cabinet who are URP. We don't have members of cabinet who are TNA. we have one cabinet of Jubilee, and there is evidence in the public domain that we are actually consolidating and forming one party shortly, as a demonstration of the confidence the President and I have in one another and in the decision making that has informed this government all along.
So there was never a disagreement on the cabinet reshuffle?
There was never.
Reinstate?
There was never. There is none. There will never be
any disagreement?
Yeah.
Right.
Because we know better. We know how we have the benefit of experience.
Right.
We know how running a government the way it has been run before makes it a zero-sum game.
Right. One specific issue about the list of 175 that has not been asked for a long time is your Chief of Staff, Marian Keitany, who was named in that list. One of the reasons that was said there was she was the one behind the failed censure motion against Cabinet Secretary Waiguru. Did you know about this?
For your information, that's all hogwash.
But there was nothing like that?
There was absolutely nothing like that.
But she was told to step aside and an investigation is going on.
That is why, have you heard anything of the investigation? It was said that she spent 100 million of government money to give it to MPs. Do you know how to get 100 million, 1 million, 1 shilling from government coffers? What it takes. She's not an accounting officer. She doesn't sign any checks. She has no authority to do anything.
So it was unfair to her? That's what you're saying?
It will be determined, I'm sure. The institutions of governance are there. Let's wait and see. Why do you want us to speculate?
Not speculation. I mean, I'm just because you're the deputy president. She was the chief of staff. That's why I want to know.
Let's wait and see
if you knew anything.
Let's wait and see. From where I sit, it is not, unless miracles happened, it's not possible that she could have spent 100 million in that endeavor.
Okay.
It's not possible that she would have spent a shilling from public coffers. But let's wait. You know, why are we speculating? The institutions of governance are there. We will see what the outcome.
When you say we'll see the outcome, and just like the Eurobond, when the government, we have you and the president saying there's no money lost.
Absolutely.
Do you think it puts any pressure on the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission or investigative agencies? Some will say you're preemptive.
The investigative agencies are independent institutions. They don't report to us. They don't report to the president. They don't report to me. The DPP is an independent institution. EACC is an independent institution. All these Auditor General are independent institutions. All those institutions don't report to us. They have absolutely no business trying to do what we want. They don't take instructions from us. Okay. Like all independent institutions, money is provided for in the budget, and they do their stuff.
Okay. In fighting graft, you've had the opposition talking about the high priest of corruption. You've had, I mean, there's always this perception associated with you and corruption. And in fact, some say you actually lack the moral authority to speak on corruption.
That is what you think. Because...
that's what they say, not what I think.
No, because you are...
What the opposition are saying.
They told you to ask this question.
No. It's what they've been saying on national TV.
What they have said, they haven't directly talked about William Ruto. They have gone around, you know. They initially, they said, oh, William Ruto took land in 1 acre in Ngong Road. We went to court. I didn't even have a case to answer. It was all proven to be nonsense. They came to Western Hotel. They said the Langata Road Primary School, William Ruto again. As we talk, Hussein, the owner of the controversial plot on which Langata Road Primary School stands is in court. He is not William Ruto. He has a name. He has an identity. He is not a foreigner. He is a Kenyan. How he becomes William Ruto is the question you need to ask our opposition friends. They initially thought, because of my background, they didn't want to believe that I could get anywhere. But I'm telling them, you don't have to have a tall parent to get to places. You can get to many places by sheer hard work. I can prove to the letter every property that I own and every asset that I have. There is a history. There is, whether you talk about Western Hotel, I built Western Hotel with other people. We borrowed money. We didn't. The borrowing is documented in Equity Bank, in Kenya Commercial Bank, everywhere. The house I have in Eldoret, it is documented. I borrowed money from Parliament. I paid. The house I live in Karen, I borrowed money. You can go to HFCK. The house I live in Karen, I borrowed money in 1996. I paid slowly. I defaulted halfway, but I finally paid. You can go and get the records from HFCK. HFCK is not a shadow institution. It's a proper institution that exists, and I owe a lot to them because they stood with me when I can account for every coin that I have.
And you've now seen, especially the private sector,
everybody who makes allegations against William Ruto, I encourage them not to be dodgy, to come forward. I am an open Kenyan. I'm a public figure. You can challenge me, right, on matters of corruption. I am here. I am not leaving. I'm not going anywhere. Yeah, and I'm ready to face any allegation that is made against me. All allegations have been made against other people, Allegations have been made about molasses plant. Allegations have been made about land in NYS and in Yatta. Allegations have been made about Tokyo. Allegations have been made. All these allegations have been made all over, around all leaders. Allegations have been made around me. So these allegations are allegations until you take them to court and prove.
Right. The other concern, of course, is, and you've seen them talking about that again,
yes,
is the source of your wealth. And you've seen the private sector lately talking about they're going to people making their wealth known in public. Will you be ready for a lifestyle audit yourself?
I have been ready from day one. For your information, I have always done my wealth declaration every other time we went to Parliament. It was a requirement of the law. And if you want to know what I own, go to Parliament. Go to the institutions that are charged with wealth declaration. You will find the wealth of William Ruto.
I'd like to get
I have nothing to hide. And anybody is welcome to come and do a lifestyle audit on me.
One of the reasons they're concerned about your wealth or how wealthy you are is when you're going to Harambes week in, week out and dishing out millions.
Let me tell you, Hussein, I didn't begin to do Harambes when I became deputy president. Go to Eldoret North. Ask the people of Eldoret North. From the day I became a member of parliament, I learned to give. And giving is not a factor of having. There are people who are billionaires, you can never get a coin from them because they are mean. That is why the word mean was coined. It was coined for such people who they have money, but they will die with it. I share my money with whenever I am in a position to share with others. There are people who own, huge assets, colossal billions, but you can never get a coin from them. In fact, and let me not tell you, there is a Kalenjin phrase that says, this man is so mean, he cannot even give his mucus to a tree. In the past, people used not to have handkerchiefs, right? So they would take their mucus and put it on a tree. But there were people who are so mean that even the thought of removing the mucus and putting it on a tree, they would think it is a loss. And yet they have no other use for the mucus, you know. They cannot do anything with it. But they are so mean, they cannot think of, how do I now remove my mucus and put it on a tree? That is the word that was used for mean people. I am not in that category.
How wealthy would you say you are?
That's a discussion for another day.
Right, let's move on to another issue. We saw President Obama coming in this country. First of all, do you think it was, a sign that the Jubilee administration was finally being embraced by the international community? And what significance was it for you to see the president here?
I think it was a positive indication, and it's also a demonstration that we as a government, we are not what people thought we would be. You know, people thought we would drive this country into a pariah state, we would do things the wrong way, but the world is appreciating what Kenya is doing. The World Bank gives us approval, the IMF gives us approval, our development partners give us approval of the development and the leadership that we have provided in Kenya. President Obama was very proud of what Kenya, the way Kenya was going. And in fact, I think he chided our friends. The coming of the Pope is a clear indication that we are going places. The WTO conference, which we negotiated in Geneva, is a clear demonstration of confidence in Kenya. The TICAD conference, which will bring Japan and the rest of Africa into Nairobi in September next year. We have the UNCTAD conference coming here next year. We have the Youth World Champions coming here next year. These does not just happen. It is meant to happen. It is the sheer diplomatic profile that we have created for Kenya. And it is the clear understanding and confidence the rest of the world has in Kenya. When I told you about the Forbes magazine, when I tell you about Kenya being the third most improved ease of doing a business destination in Africa. All these are clear indications that Kenya is going places.
We're taking a short break now. We'll be back with more still on Obama, including the famous Ruto-Obama handshake and more, including Jubilee Party politics. Stay tuned.